Hello, welcome to the explanation of the GuruScan Knowledge Network Game. In this short presentation, I will explain to you how you can use a knowledge network map for the benefit of your project or your team. The accompanying slides will also be available. So you can use these slides and use them to organize your own knowledge network game for yourself. So the knowledge network game is developed by GuruScan, and there is dedicated material available to basically do this whole workshop. But you can perfectly well do this with regular flip overs or brown paper and post-its, whatever you have available. You could potentially even just write it on the wall, though I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. The concept of the knowledge network game is in the realization that none of us is as smart as all of us. So collectively as a group, you will know much more than any individual does. So the aim of the knowledge network game is to visualize the collective knowledge network by having all the individuals share their informal knowledge network. If you want to learn more on GuruScan or on the philosophy behind it, please check out our company profile or the company movie on YouTube or our website. Why should you do this? Mapping your knowledge network will give a kickstart to your team's or project's collaboration. It will improve decision-making and reduce risks, especially risks that are related to critical knowledge or related to key man exposure. The last and not least, it will be a very fun and joyful activity to do. So it will spark joy within the team, and it will create a fun and knowledge sharing atmosphere in your team or your project. As preparation, it's good to know that this workshop works best for groups of 10 to 15 people. You can perfectly well do this with 5, 6, 7 people, or you could go all the way up to 20, 25 people. I must say that if I would be working with a group that's larger than 20 people, I would generally tend to split the group in two because it's more comprehensible then. What you need to start is a common goal or challenge that the group is working on. Sometimes this is very easy because it's just your project goal or your team's vision that could be that common goal or challenge. Sometimes it's a little bit harder, so you need to think a little bit deeper. It is also very well possible to work on multiple goals with the same team. I would then choose to organize separate workshops to do that. We have some experience with it. You could, for instance, say, with our project, we are going to do a knowledge network game aiming at, for instance, what is relevant technology for our project. And people come up with relevant technologies, share their network, and that works fine. In a second knowledge network game, you can take the same group of people and look at what new customers would we like to acquire in the next year. So technology and customers are completely different goals or different challenges that could perfectly well be applicable to the same project or the same team. And therefore, you could work them through with your project. But you simply do this twice with a completely different goal. It will give you a completely different network. And it will be really insightful to learn in those different directions. After that common goal or challenge, what you need is a list of participants. If you have a project team or a department that you work in that you want to do this with, that is very obvious. It's a simple task. Just line up all the people in your department or team. If you have a more fuzzy challenge, for instance, say an example, you want to promote diversity and inclusion in a large organization, and you may not know upfront who you should connect to such a knowledge network game. Maybe you can find those people, so you know to ask around and get to those names. Or what you could do is you can organize a knowledge network game to find the people that you should ask in your diversity and inclusion initiative. So even finding a list of participants could be a challenge to organize a knowledge network game around. In short, the knowledge network game has 7 steps. So we already discussed 2, the challenge and the participants. Then you will start doing a knowledge brainstorm, connect that to experts, identify people's knowledge networks together, and define actions upon it. I must say, that's an optional. You don't have to do it. You can leave it with the analysis if you want, but if you want to get the most benefits, it's definitely interesting to connect to actions and evaluate in due course. Usually that's 3 to 6 months, but it could be shorter or longer depending on your specific situation. I'll explain the steps in more detail. You don't have to walk through all these steps if you don't want to. Some steps can be very obvious for you. Some steps can be more detailed. The goal or the challenge, keep that specific, but not too small. And I do understand that that may be a difficult thing. Sometimes if you find in the step 3 where you are going to do a knowledge brainstorm that it's difficult to do because either there's nothing that you can expand to or it's so broad that everything's okay, you may need to revisit your goal or your challenge. So, well, you see some examples here. I mentioned some examples previously. And here again, you can perfectly well take apart different goals that you are working on and organize separate knowledge network games to work on these different goals. Well, this is a document that we have. It's a checklist. This particular one is in Dutch, but well, you get the point, even in English. You just set a date, you have a goal, maybe you have a sub challenge or sub goal. You have a number of participants and you just list them on the list. Of course, you can do this digitally. You can do it in a document. You don't have to use this style. You can also just write it down or write it down on a whiteboard or whatever you have in your office. Select participants. Again, I mentioned it. It can be very obvious. But if you get to too many people, I would split the group or I would select the top people. So start to prioritize there. You could even invite externals, so suppliers or customers if you want to. Of course, that has a different dynamic to it, but depending on the challenge, it could be very smart to invite external people to join you in the workshop. For the next phases, so step 3 to 6 are done synchronously. So you do that with everyone together. Usually you get together in like a conference room or an office room, but you could also do this outside if the weather's good where you are. It is helpful if people have something to write. So you generally want to be a little bit comfortable. So usually indoors is the preferable place to do this. We made some materials. So these are examples of personal nameplates and stickers that people can use where they all have the same color and they have a little icon like a carrot or a car or a pen. Again, you can also use just packs of colored Post-its. Use big Post-its because people will write a lot. First step of the knowledge network game is defining knowledge topics. Ask people in the room to come up with knowledge topics. You shouldn't get too much, so 12 to 15 topics is the perfect number. More than 20 generally takes too much time, especially in the next rounds. So It's not the time that it takes to come up with these topics, but it's the time that it takes to answer them and to connect them to experts. Sometimes these topics and definitions can be extremely straightforward. If you just list the products that you're working on or the tools that you're servicing, if you're a service organization, sometimes it can be more difficult and you want to take some time to discuss this with the group and see if you can come up with a shared perspective there. It can also be interesting to ask every participant to come up with 1 or 2 relevant knowledge topics before the session and have that already prepared. You'll be surprised with what people will come up with. And maybe if everyone in the group comes up with 1 or 2 topics, you already have your basic coverage there. It is essential before proceeding to the next step that everyone in the group understands the topics and knows what is meant by them, and also what is not. If needed, you can use the paper or the flip over to write that down. So say, well, I don't know, wide format printers, and then write down, we only talk about the inkjet ones, not the old-fashioned ones. You can just write down whatever you want, but just to clarify that in a few words so everyone in the group knows what is meant and what is not. Well, you see these are the dedicated posters. You can see you just write down the knowledge topics, maybe a short description so everyone knows what is meant by them. If you don't have these fancy posters, no worry at all. You can just use flip overs or big piece of brown paper. It's relevant. It should be rather big. You want to have some room. You want to have some place for people to write down stuff. So you can do this. It's fun to stick them on the wall so people can stand up and write down. If you have a policy in your office where it's not allowed to stick stuff on the wall, of course, you can also lay them down on the table or even on the ground if that's all you have. It's a little inconvenient, I would say. So go for a table or go for the wall. But you could go for anything. Just make sure that everyone can see all of the knowledge topics. Next round, and that's basically the most important one, connect these topics to experts. So ask everyone in your group, the people that are there, to take a pack of Post-its or take those stickers that I showed you before, walk around, look at those knowledge topics and write down the names of experts that they know. General guidance there is try and write down name of 1 or 3 experts per topic. If you know a lot more people, who would be your first points of contact? If you don't know anyone, then try and come up with 1 name of a person that you would ask this to. Where would you go to even explore that topic? In this round, do not endorse yourself. It's about your own knowledge network, and endorse reachable experts, because otherwise it's pointless if you just name some famous people. So let's say you want to know about electrical driving and you name Elon Musk. Well, unless you have his name and his number in your phone, that's not a reachable expert. That's not someone that colleagues can reach out to and he will pick up the phone. So endorse reachable people and do not endorse yourself in this round, and try and share your network there. Well, here you can see it's a picture of a session that we did. Just a bunch of these posters on the wall, people walking around, putting stickers of names there on these knowledge topics. Next is analyze these results. You can do very simple analyses. Just walk around the room or look at those posters and basically group, for instance, similar names. So if everyone in your team has put the same name to a topic, then that is a very strong identifier that that person is really knowledgeable. So it's simply putting those stickers or those Post-its together. Next thing what you could do is, for instance, count the number of unique experts per topic. So it's great if you all know that Anna has knowledge on social now, but if she's the only person that you could come up with, that could be a risk. So too low, you don't know where to get this, there are no names there. Too high, like it's like a scatter plot, like everyone is naming different people. That means there may not be a common understanding or a common network within your group. Both can be risky, and both might need a little result. And the other thing that you can do that's more advanced analyses is grouping the experts on different parameters. So for instance, group them on departments or locations. If you're in a larger organization, maybe just start with internal and external experts. So are the experts that you have identified, are they all internal or are they also external? And how's that balance? So it could be that you know a lot of experts on a certain topic, but all of them are external. That makes your organization vulnerable to external experts who may not have the commitment to your organization that you're looking for. Of course, you can also take in any other personal characteristics. If you're looking for diversity, maybe gender, maybe age. Age is also sometimes a risk. So if all of your experts are close to retirement, that may be a continuity risk as well. So you could take different steps there with grouping according to different parameters. I would definitely advise you to take pictures even during the process. That's really nice, but definitely at the end to capture all the work that has been done by people. You can also visualize the results later on. You can visualize it in a network tool or even in a database or a profile tool. We've used Gephi. It's an open source network visualizing tool, but there are many other tools as well. So you could do that, but it's not necessary. There's no need to do it per se. So here, it's very simple example already. You can see on the left, only 6 names. On the right, I didn't count them, but I guess it's all already close to 30 names. Well, that's a big difference. You can see where you need to dive a little bit deeper if you want to make sure that your project can deliver on these knowledge areas. Next step is defining smart actions towards your challenge. Smart, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time controlled. So who is going to do what and when is he or she going to deliver that? Well, there are a couple of examples here. You can probably come up with a few actions yourself. It can be whatever. It can be expanding the network. It can be deepening the network. It can be connecting to experts to get their opinion or get their insights into a specific field or area. It can be reaching out to external contacts or potential customers. It can be anything based on what you've learned from that network and from the analysis that you did. Again, this is an example of a network view. You can use many different ones. Well, this one has been anonymized, and here people chose deliberately to use the name and also the location that people were in. So the last 2 letters are country codes that people work in. So you can also see how people are connected throughout different countries or throughout different business locations that you have. So using this network view gives you an additional insight again in how connected or disconnected knowledge networks are. Evaluate and reiterate. I would say you do that after 3 to 6 months. Did everyone deliver on their tasks? And do we maybe need to redo this inventory, or can we devise new tasks from the inventory as we did it? Well, I hope this was helpful. If you want to learn more on what we do, or you want to scale up this knowledge network inventory with some SaaS tools that we developed for it, feel free to reach out. If you happen to use this for your team or your project, I would be really pleased if you could tag us in any publication that you do, or just a photo of you joyfully working on a knowledge network inventory. I'd be really pleased to receive those acknowledgements, and I wish you a happy knowledge sharing.